Hi children, this is Venkatamna. Now today's class, 8th class Physical Science, 2nd unit, Friction chapter. Friction chapter. For friction chapter for both the states. That is what we call Telangana state and also for Andhra state. It is for both the states, say the second chapter only friction. Now what is the friction? The force acted by the surface on the objects we will call it as a friction or force of friction. So what is the friction? The force acted by the surface which acts on the body opposite to the acceleration of the object, opposite to the velocity of the object. That we will call it as a friction. Now we already discussed types of frictions. Now what are types of friction? Number one we will call static friction. Static friction. Now what is static friction? Static friction is when it comes to play. Static friction, it comes to play whenever object surface object is in rest with the with related to another surface. That means this static friction comes to play when the friction force or the opposing force acting between the two surfaces which are in rest. That is known as static friction. Static friction. So once again let me tell that one. What is meant by static friction? Static friction means first of all what is friction? The force applied by the surface on the object which restricts or which opposes the relative motion of the object is known as frictional force or simply force of friction. Now what is in way static friction or what is sliding friction? The force which opposes the relative motion of two surfaces of bodies is in contact. That is called as frictional force. Now what is sliding friction? Sliding friction will automatically comes to play when surface of any object moves relative to the surface of another object. So what is sliding friction and what is static friction? Static friction and sliding friction. Sliding friction. So what is sliding friction? Sliding friction comes to play whenever the surface of the object is moving with relative to the another object. That means one object is moving with related to another surface. Then this sliding friction automatically comes to play and try to oppose the relative motion of this object. Now what is static friction? Static friction comes to play whenever the surface of the object is at rest with related to another surface. We already discussed it with what we called toy trolley example. In a toy trolley example, the wooden block and the surface of the trolley are in between them. Which force will act? Static friction will act, because along with this toy trolley, wooden block will also move. That means with relative to toy trolley surface, the wooden block surface is at rest. Then between them the static friction comes to play, and which will try to oppose the motion of wooden block along with the surface of this toy trolley. Whereas between the surface of the table and between the surface of toy trolley, which force will act? Which frictional force will act? This sliding friction force will act. That will always oppose the relative motion of trolley with respect to the table surface, or surface of the floor. In that way, this static friction automatically, static friction comes to play when the surface of one object is at rest with respect to the surface of another object. Similarly, sliding friction comes to play when the surface of an object is moving with relative to the surface of the another object. In that way, there will be vary in the friction. static friction and sliding friction. Now we are discussed regarding factors affecting the frictional force. Factors affecting the frictional force. Factor affecting the frictional force. Frictional force or friction of force. So what factors are there which will affect this frictional force or friction force? Number one, we can able to tell that observing the roughness, observing what you call effect of roughness on frictional force. Effect of roughness. So first factor is roughness. Effect of roughness. Effect of roughness on frictional force, that we have to discuss. On frictional force. Now what you have to do? We have to take one what we call flat surface like a table. On that table, what we call, now let us assume that we have a table here. We have a table. On this table, what we call flat surface is there. Flat surface. Now what do you have to do? We have to place any pillar, any what we call block. Now wooden block you have to use, wooden block or what we call wooden pad you have to use as an inclined plane. Inclined plane. This is an inclined plane. Inclined plane. Now mark any one point, A point on the inclined plane. Now try to roll this glass marble. Glass marble means gote, which we used to children used to play for the marble games. Now, or else this marble we just drop. We just leave the marble on inclined plane. Now what you can able to observe? This marble will roll along the inclined plane and it will move certain distance from the bottom of bottom of this wooden pad or inclined plane, and it will reach to certain distance and automatically comes to rest. It will comes to rest, or it will comes to what we call zero velocity. It will comes to zero velocity. Whenever we leave this glass marble on inclined plane at certain point, which we mark as a starting point, then it will accelerate and it will move along the bench floor, or what we call, it will move along this plane surface, and its velocity becomes zero. Then it will comes to zero velocity. It will comes to stop there. Now find out the distance. We have to find out the distance up to where it travelled from the bottom end of the inclined plane. Now from the bottom end of the inclined plane to the position where it will comes to stop. Up to there we have to note down the distance. So let it be L1 distance. Let it be L1 distance. Now remove all this inclined plane and what you call pillar and this marble, and place the cloth. Now place the cloth on the table. Now previously only table surface. Now what you called, place the cloth. Some woolen cloth, better woolen cloth you take, or mugwool cloth, which is very spongy like structure. That cloth is spread along the table surface. You have to spread along the table surface, and again you have to arrange this inclined plane in the same fashion and leave that same marble from the same point. And in that case also, it will roll along the inclined plane and move on the plane surface on the table. On the cloth now it will move. Now again here also we have to note down distance from the distance between bottom end of the inclined plane to the point, the position where that marble comes to stop. Then note down it as L2 distance. L2 distance. Then if you compare L2 and L1, what you can able to observe, in which case what you call the marble travels maximum distance, in which case the marble travels minimum distance. In that way what you call questions will arise. First of all, why the marble has to come to stop, why it will comes to stop, why it won't come what you call continue state of moving, means state of motion of moving object, how come it comes to stop? We know that without applying any force, in first chapter we discussed that a force only can change the state of rest, state of motion to state of rest. That means there might have been some force acted between the surface of the marble and the what you call the stable surface, which try to restrict, which try to oppose the motion of this marble, relative motion of this marble. That means since the marble surface is in touch with the surface of the table, then automatically one force is acting which you try to stop or which you try to restrict the motion of marble, motion of marble on the table. Means which will try to stop the relative motion of marble which related to the table. That force will called as frictional force or force of friction. Frictional force or force of friction. So, what is a frictional force already discussed? The force applied by this table on this marble surface is called what frictional force. Now, why if you compare L2 and L1, in which case what you call the distance traveled by the marble is maximum, in which case the distance traveled by the marble is minimum, on only table, on the flat table surface, it will travel maximum, it will what you call cover maximum distance, whereas when you spread the marble cloth or what you call woolen cloth, on that woolen cloth, it travels it covered less distance. Means the distance covered by marble on the what you call table where the cloth spread is minimum. The distance covered by the marble on the table without covering with cloth, without covering with cotton cloth or without covering with woolen cloth is maximum. Why L1 is maximum compared to L2? Because that means why what you call it traveled more distance on a flat surface without covering with cloth. Why it traveled minimum distance when the surface is covered with marble cloth or woolen cloth or cotton cloth? Because what you call for our naked eye, for our observation, we will feel that this cloth, this surface of the table is very flat. But actually there will be a what you call some many ups and downs on the surface of the table, on the surface of the table. That will call irregularities will be there on the surface of the table. Now this is because of these irregularities, what will happen? The cloth means the motion of this marble will be interlocked. The surface of the what you call marble and this ups and downs or irregularities of the surface on which it is moving will be interlocked. So whenever it is suppose this is a flat surface. Now here for our observation it will be very flat. But if you cleanly observe with a microscope or with what you called with the help of a enlarging convex lens, then you can able to see at this surface. If you what you call zoom it and see, you can able to have many ups and downs. Because of these ups and downs, if marble is traveling, the surface of marble and these ups and downs will be interlocked. They will be interlocked. Then to overcome that interlock, it required more force. So since what you call on tablecloth, since where the table is spread with the cloth like a marble or woolen cloth, irregularities will be more. When the irregularities will be more, what you call the force applied by friction will be more, which you try to restrict, or which you try to stop the more relative motion of marble on that floor. So So since on cloth, irregularities up and downs will be more, as a result interlocking will be more, then what you call we need to apply more, what you call we need, there is a need to what you call apply more force. So that's why what you call simply we can tell that on cloth the roughness is more, on table roughness is less. That means if there is a more roughness, then frictional force will be more and the motion of the object on that surface will be less. That means frictional force is directly proportional to roughness. Frictional force is directly proportional to roughness. So if the roughness of the surfaces increases, frictional force will be increases. As a result, motion of the body on the rough surfaces will be less. Even when you are skating, when you are skidding, there is chance of skidding. If the surfaces which are in contact are very smooth, there is a chance of skidding. If the surfaces are very rough, then this frictional force which comes to play, what you call, and try to stop the motion of the object, which is called sliding friction, will be more. So friction force is directly proportional to roughness of the surface. Roughness of the surface of a table and also marble which is moving on that surface. So frictional force depends upon roughness of both the surfaces which are in contact and which try to stop the relative motion of the one object on the other surface. The second factor is contact area. What do you call? Contact area. Now, is the friction force depends upon contact area or it won't depends upon contact area? That's the question. Now, what you have to do? We have to, now second one is contact surface, contact area. If contact area increases, friction force increases or decreases. Now, what do? We have to place, now we have to tie one wooden block or one weight to a sting. This sting is what you call joined to one spring balance like this. The spring balance consists of a spring which will be depend upon applied force. Now in this way we will have a spring and which you can able to stretch. The stretchness of string increases by increasing the this here we will catch and we will go and try to pull the block. Then the spring balance spring will stretch. When spring will stretch more when you applied more force. That means the length of the stretching is directly proportional to applied force. If you increase or if you apply more force, the stretching of the spring will be more. Now that means this is the stretching of the length of the spring stretches is use the measuring of applied force. So it is acting as a scale of measuring force. So here we will catch this holder and we will try to move this what you call block. We will try to move that block. Slowly when you going on increases, initially the block won't move. When you going on increases what you call applied force, it starts moving. Now we have note down the spring reading. Whenever it begins to move. Now if you note down that force is nothing but limiting force of static friction of this block. Why? Well, first this friction, this block is in rest with the surface of the floor. Then it will automatically static friction will comes to play and try to stop the relative motion of this block with relative to floor. But there will be a certain limit for that static friction. Then if you going on increase what you call applying force, then our applied force will overcome the more than the whenever it will more than what you call limiting of the static friction, then it starts to move. That's why we will note down the spring balance scale reading. We will note down the spring balance scale reading when it starts to move. When it starts to move, first we will place the wooden block along the lengthwise. Then you note down the limiting friction of that wooden block. Now same wooden block, what you call, you place along the height wise and try to move. Now also you have note down the what you call, you have note down the spring balance reading whenever it begins to move. So whenever it is begin to move means we are applying force more than its limiting friction of static friction, limiting friction of this wooden block. So we will note down the limiting friction of wooden block when it is along the lengthwise and when it is along the height-wise. Then what you can able to observe, in both the cases, the limiting force will be same. The limiting force will be same. What does it mean? Friction force won't depend upon contact area. It won't depend upon contact area. So from these two experiments, what you come to know? Frictional force is directly proportional to. Frictional force is directly proportional to. Directly proportional to whom? The roughness or smoothness. Roughness of the two surfaces and independent means it won't dependent. Independent of contact area. Independent of contact area. So it won't depend upon contact area, but it depends upon roughness of the surface or roughness of the two surfaces which are relatively in motion. That's why whenever we are running on smooth surface, if we try to run, there is a chance of skidding and there is a chance of what you call sliding. Whereas what you call on rough surface like a sand or what you call clay, if you try to run, it is hard to run because frictional force will be more, which will try to restrict our motion related to the surface of the sand. In that way, we discussed two factors which will affect the frictional force. One is affect roughness of the two surfaces, and other is contact area. On contact area it won't depend, but on roughness increases, frictional force also increases. So in next session we can able to discuss more factors which will affect this frictional force. Thank you.